can see into your soul. Cause you're just a victim of mind control. I know you're too scared to think for yourself. When you'd rather back down on someone else, you think there's someone smarter. They know what's best for you. They get you on a lockdown. You want a lockdown. Afraid to try, afraid to be, afraid to have liberty. You want a lockdown. I said, don't you try to break them up. I said, just do what you're fucking told. I know deep inside your heart is black. When a heart attack, another heart attack is what you lack. For a just shot jack to your back. If you could, but you can't, cause you want a lockdown. You want a lockdown. Well, afraid to try, afraid to be, afraid to have liberty. You want a lockdown. I can't see through you, see past into you. I can't see everything you own. And all you own is a place from where you've been. So I will let it fucking go. Oh, afraid to try, afraid to be, afraid to have liberty. You want a lockdown. You want a lockdown. You want a lockdown. You want a lockdown.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to the first episode of Allegedly. Traveling Fools here, joined by Frantic Missy. How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for tuning in. Missy, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. I can't believe we finally made it to this.
I actually have a somewhat legitimate stream going here. Imagine that. Imagine that. Yeah,
Your pull game is weak.
Yeah, well, you know. Yeah, so we got some fun stuff lined up for everybody. Thanks for being here. Who do we have? We got Lizard Circus, Bet, Jay Shipes, Bulldog, JC, Colby. We got, how do you say this? Guaco Willink. I think
Guaco Wilnick, like Jocko Wilnick.
Oh, okay, Guaco Wilnick. Okay, Philip Cesaro. Who else? Conspiracy Playtime, Joey Foster. I think that's all I can see going up through there.
Conspiracy Playtime is also another podcast. You guys should check him out if you get a chance. He's a good guy. Good dude.
Okay, cool. Everybody check out Conspiracy Playtime. Yes, we got a lot of fun stuff lined up for you tonight. I guess we're going to be talking a lot about the shadow people and Hat Man and old hag conspiracies. So that should be pretty good. But Missy, do you have a good Christmas and New Year's and all that jazz?
I always love it when a guy wearing a costume sneaks into my house during Saturnalia and leaves my kid toys and drinks all my whiskey.
Didn't eat your cookies?
Happy Saturnalia.
Right, exactly. We made it to the new year, and we made it past the atrocious January 6th day. So yeah, we actually managed to live through yet another one somehow.
I don't know. I mean, like, as I sent you that meme of that kid, it's like, I'm not coming out my room till Donald Trump apologizes.
Right, exactly. Oh Lord. Oh. Such a, oh my gosh. We won't get into that. We'll stay on the air for at least an hour.
At least 1 hour.
Without getting canceled. We can make it.
We will be moving some stuff to, we'll be simulcasting on Rumble eventually. We're going to get there, so.
Oh yeah, we got to figure out the Rumble thing, but
with my mouth, there's no telling.
Right, how long we'll actually stay here? That's another reason we had to start a new channel. You know, it's like, well, at least we burn it to the ground, and then we'll burn it to the ground. So yeah, other than the update on the new news, not much has really been going on. I guess they finally voted in a new Speaker of the House, which took, I'm not sure how many votes did that take. 15,000.
I don't know. I mean, I just noticed the second round of McCarthyism. Right,
exactly. I feel like we're no matter what we get, it's always a big load of shit. It seems like.
Yep, big old turd in the Capitol building. That's what happened.
Exactly. So what else going on? We got Andrew Tate getting arrested.
Yeah. Apparently, nothing to do. I was calling it Pizza Tate, for a while, but apparently that was proved debunked. But it still is funny to call it pizza tape.
Yeah, I guess arguing with Greta Thunberg or however the hell you say her name.
I know, and her culturally appropriated like braids.
Oh, geez, I can't stand that girl.
I mean, if she'd finished high school, maybe I'd listen, but she didn't. So
no, she is a high school dropout, but yeah, she's not the best one. But I guess a lot of people. So what have you heard on that story? Any updates?
Well, again, they're detaining him for 30 days, but it's Ukraine. I mean, but I also watched what happened with John McAfee, where they detained him, trying to like get money out of him when he was in Belize. So there's no telling. There's no telling what that's really about. And again, I mean, like he lived in a really nice house. Anybody would run like a hooking operation out of their house, even if it's in Romania in a nice neighborhood in a nice area, is like asking to get busted. So if that's true, then he had it coming. If it's not true, then it's probably like there's more to the story. Again, like these third world countries, these like, these kinds of governments that are super corrupt, and Romania is super corrupt. There's no telling what the true story is and how long it's going to take to come out. But, just like anything else, the truth, whether it's 5 days, 5, hours, 5 minutes, 5 decades, or 5 weeks, like the truth always comes out. So, we'll just sit on it and wait, because the truth will come out on this one. It always does.
Well, at least some version of the truth, what they want to tell you. I found some interesting clips on it, though. And I guess even Weasel Man, Ben Shapiro, who I just can't hardly stand to listen to, even though his wife is a doctor, just in case you didn't know that, he actually somewhat came to his defense with that, which I thought was kind of odd. But did you see that?
Wait, you mean his wife's a doctor? I've never heard that before.
No, you didn't know that Ben Shapiro's wife was a doctor?
No way. No, next tell me he's Jewish.
Yeah, no.
He mentions his wife as a doctor like every chance he gets. It's hilarious.
Oh, it's horrible. But here's Ben Shapiro kind of coming to his which is actually kind of interesting. But.
So I have a lot of younger listeners who are big fans of Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, for those who don't know, was a kickboxing champion, and he's become big in the so-called manosphere. He got in an online fight with Greta Thunberg, in which he was tweeting at her about how he had Bugattis, he was heating up the climate, and then one day later, he ended up being arrested by Romanian authorities. Tate had predicted for a long time this would happen. He had predicted that people were going to come after him, they were going to arrest him. Does that mean that he's not guilty? I have no idea whether he's guilty of these crimes. It could be trumped up. It could be the Romanian authorities who are embarrassed by Tate. It could be anything. The thing I want to focus on is the popularity of Andrew Tate for a moment. And it's fascinating. I have a lot of young listeners who are interested in the stuff that Andrew Tate says. The reason they're interested in the stuff that Andrew Tate says is because he's transgressive. He's transgressive in that he says things that no one else will say. Some of the stuff that he says is actually a version of truth. People who speak loudly are considered the best and the bravest, and it's particularly appealing to young people. And so when you draw a lot of fire, the way that Andrew Tate does, and more in consonance with eternal truth, whoever draws most fire, in other words, is the person who's considered the most courageous. Courage is useful so that you can speak the truth. The problem for Andrew Tate, and the reason why he's become so popular, is because he's very transgressive. He says the thing that no one else will say.
Yeah, so that was I kind of agreed with Ben Shapiro on that, though, in a few ways, which I normally kind of agree with the guy, but he just gets on my nerves so bad.
Well, people are going to think that this whole thing is sped up. Between him talking and me talking, people are going to think we're in like fast forward mode. They're like, let me check my settings. Is it on? Like, how fast is this thing going?
Yeah, you have to go back and listen at half speed to
well, we can't all be in Florida.
Right, exactly. You see, other than that.
Yeah, I think he makes a good point. Like, if Andrew Tate wasn't such a good speaker, then people probably wouldn't give a damn. I mean, the guy is like got some serious problems going on, but I do know that like he is one of the few people that has the guts to mention God, even though he's doing horrible things. I mean, maybe that's why he believes in God. Maybe he thinks there's absolution. Maybe that's why he thinks he can get away with some of the things he gets away with. I'm not like in the guy's corner completely, but I do believe in the law. And I do believe in due process. And I believe that's one of the biggest problems with cancel culture these days, that there is no due process. And we need to bring that back into the fold. We need to ask the question before, we need to find out what's really going on before we like judge somebody and condemn them. I mean, I got in hot water on Twitter the other day. I mean, people called me, what was it? Someone said, Missy, you're awful. I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. All I did was try to say that like, when it comes to this Crystalia stuff, like he just got his show canceled. Maybe we should like find out what the truth is, because I know there's only been one actual charge against him, and that woman filed it in March and dropped it in April. Granted, there's like all these allegations, but allegations are not charges. And so therefore, like, how can we condemn him in the public eye when he's not having any sort of due process in the legal system? Women, if you got a problem with some dude, if someone goes like full Bill Cosby on you, the best thing for you to do is to get him off the street and report him so he doesn't hurt somebody else. Please bring those charges to police. And guaranteed the justice system is going to do, if there's a bunch of people like filing like charges against someone, granted, they're going to pay attention. They have to. There's no questions. Like, they have to pay attention. But when there's no charges, but lots of allegations, you got to ask yourself what the hell's going on. As far as Andrew Tate's concerned, I've seen charges. I've seen allegations. I have seen women that he's dated refute charges. Now, that could be Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know. But what I do know is that until there's something that says legally, like, he's guilty, I'm going to keep my mouth shut about whether or not he is, because it's until we get all the discovery and all the facts in, all the legality in, I have no place to say anything, because I am not the law. I am just a person.
Right. And it's the last hill you would want to die on, as far as you see a lot of people on the internet, you know, Twitter especially, and they're either this side, they're hating him, or they're this side and they're defending him like to the max. And I'm like, well, you know, maybe you should sit back and wait a minute, because if the guy is guilty of this stuff, then you don't want to be defending that guy.
Well, I'm wondering what's going on that they're covering up for. What is it? This is the story. What is going on behind the scenes? What is it that they're like, look here, not there? What is the sleight of hand here?
Well, here's one more interesting clip here. And I found this one kind of cool.
You mean to tell me you're so concerned about human trafficking, meanwhile Maxwell's client list is just nowhere to be found? Sorry, I don't believe it. If we know the FBI is involved in like the Whitmer stuff, they have like 14 agents and like 2 guys, and then convince them to go for a ride-along and stuff. If they're going to stage fake terror plots, why wouldn't they also try to blackmail people?
The CIA was also doing a lot of crazy things, like running larger human experiments, MK Ultra, U.S. Operation Paperclip. There's so many sinister things that the intelligence agencies have been doing throughout the last few decades. To think that they're not doing it now when they were never held accountable before is absolutely naive and crazy.
And that's kind of, yeah, big point there. I thought, you know, it's got to be one.
WeAreChange.org. Luke Rogowski is a pretty smart dude. I mean, I'm not saying that he knows everything. He's wrong about some things. We all are. We all can't be right 100% of the time. But I met Luke Rogowski back when he was doing the the Occupation Wall Street movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was okay. That goes way back.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, so the Tate thing, I don't want to die on that hill or not. But I don't think, like you said, I don't think he should be automatically assumed guilty.
It's Pizza Tate. We can't prove anything. We have inklings. We got ideas. We think we know, but it's Pizza Tate. We don't have any like hard facts yet.
Right. So you brought up Bill Cosby earlier. And,
my fate. Well, I have his record. I picked him up off the side of the road. Someone was throwing them away. I was like, "You fool! Like, these are going to be worth millions of dollars someday because everyone's throwing theirs away."
Well, did you see where he's actually considering return to touring in 2023?
I sent you that. Like, what the freaking frack?
So how do you feel about that?
Delusional? Like, I know he's a psychopath. I didn't know he's this much of a psychopath. Is he that unplugged from reality? Is he taking his own sleeping pills? Like, what's going on over there? If
you go back and listen, do you remember when he was leaving the courtroom when he got I guess accused and he went in to plead not guilty or whatever? And here, I'm the type of guy. Wait, wait. Yeah, before we jump on to Bill Cosby, so I want to say, if there is anything
not jump on. I'm not passed out yet.
If there is anything that let me find that one first. If there is anything that Andrew Tate should be convicted of,
I'm the type of guy, bitches on the side. I'ma spend the money, we can spend a little time. All you gotta do is ask me, and I can make you look classy. Second night you walk past me, I turned the whip around, I had to get you in my backseat. They call me Mr. Plenty. Check the leather on the Bentley. Sure, your friends will get friendly. Maybe I could be your sugar daddy, yeah. Cause I'm all about money.
That has to be absolutely one of the worst rap videos I've ever seen.
And the sad thing is, there's all these dudes that are looking at this dude. They're looking at him for the answers.
Oh, geez. Money goes a long way, but back to Bill Cosby. Do you remember when he was walking out of
prison? It's that classy.
So here's Bill Cosby walking out of the court.
So that's the actual Men in Black, folks. Like, you think you know ufology? That's the Men in Black right there. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? Yeah. He's dressed like an agent. He's dressed like an FBI agent, isn't he?
Yeah, he does. Now, I don't know if I could bring myself to go to a to the Bill Cosby comeback tour. What about you? Well, I heard they're gonna.
There's no coming back from that. Cosby, no. That's a bad gynecologist. Bad fake gynecologist.
It's gonna be ladies' night every night with a 2-drink minimum. at the Cosby.
Yeah, at least the ladies will save money.
and I did hear as well that they were going to be doing that. That Trump was wanting to host that at Mar-a-Lago. Did you happen to hear that secret phone call?
I heard inklings. I don't keep my head.
Okay,
in the ground,
well, I have captured that phone call. If anybody would like to hear this,
I took a picture with African Americans at Mar-a-Lago. So no, I think that was very unfair to say that we banned them, but we will absolutely have. We're thinking of having a non. Oh, Tiffany. Tiffany is a little upset at the idea of Bill Cosby coming to Mar-a-Lago, but we will have a non-PC. We're having a non-woke comedy tour, and who better to be non-woke than the guy who puts women to sleep, doing a strong Mar-a-Lago comedy tour. Mark that time for an audiogram. That's called viral content. And Bill Cosby will be headlining the non-woke tour, and we hope we've already extended him the invite to come to Mar-a-Lago, and I'm going to say this right now. He can even come in the main entrance. He doesn't have to use the side entrance like other African Americans. He can come in the main entrance. And to prove that we're not woke, all the women will put Spanish fly in their own drinks out of respect for him.
Wow. Well, it's not the Spanish flu,
I do have to give,
but it's definitely going to go viral.
Credit. I do have to get credit. That clip comes from Making Podcasts Great Again, and their Twitter's actually at Trump Pod. Pretty funny stuff. The guy does Trump impersonations.
You don't want to be woke.
He does a good job.
It's not working out well for Disney. I can't believe you just found that.
Not at all, but that guy, it is pretty convincing. I mean, that guy's got a really good Trump impersonation.
You got to make America awake again.
Yeah, Colby, that was great, wasn't it?
Everyone's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I know. I think a couple people at first were like, is this real? It's like,
someone in the chat
after
said,
seeing
Finkel is
Einhorn.
No, Einhorn is Finkel. Laces out.
After seeing the Trump NFT commercial come out, you would almost believe anything.
Messed up. You big time messed up. Y'all, he was going to surprise me.
I was going to buy a bunch of them.
He was going to get me one for Christmas. And this asshole was too high to walk in the next room to get his wallet and didn't do it. And he woke up probably in that same chair right there. If I had to bet, he probably woke up. He woke up the next day and was like, they're all gone. What the hell?
Oh yeah. Sold out. And they sold out in 2 hours. That's who would have imagined? Who would have imagined Trump NFT?
I would. I saw the commercial. They were awful. I couldn't wait. Dude, they were the worst, best thing ever. He jumped the shark and then jumped all of its family. It was bad. It was real bad.
Better than Washington. Better than Lincoln.
Better than Lincoln. Better than Lincoln.
I wanted the one where he was in space, floating around.
Oh,
my God.
One.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Space Force.
And they're worth $2,000 now. Yeah, they're worth $2,000 now somehow.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard higher estimates than that. They say that everyone was trying to say it was a flop, and then they all had to say the same story a couple days later. And be like, well, I guess it worked out.
Right, exactly. I mean, sold them all out.
It's not going to be great. It might not be great. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. These might suck, but yeah, you can just go on and buy one. Might be a good idea, might not.
Might not. I don't know. Better than Washington. Better than Lincoln. Yeah.
So that about sums up the news. The news of the week.
Yeah, right. It's a great day. It's a great day here in the news. The whole week's just been taken up with all this house speaker nonsense. That. It's been that, and it's been that Idaho shooter guy that they caught. Which, by the way, did you know how they caught him? Right?
No. I missed that.
They said it was through a DNA database. Well, it was I don't know if you remember or not, but there was a quiet time about last summer. I think it was last summer when everyone was focusing on the new COVID strains and who was being locked down and who wasn't. And BlackRock quietly bought Ancestry.com. Well, Ancestry.com was the one that gave them the DNA database that they were able to find this guy that was the Idaho shooter. Now,
oh, wow.
They've also done this. Here's the thing, though. Before BlackRock even bought Vanguard, you my brain. Before BlackRock even bought Ancestry.com, right? Before even like Vanguard had any like whistle in their eye about what they were going to have to do with BlackRock or how their connections were met. 5 years ago, I think it was like 2013, they had another person in Idaho that was convicted of a crime that they got through the same DNA database, and they wouldn't say where they got it. It was Ancestry.com.
Okay.
So
I don't know
BlackRock
that
actually inherited. Well, there was no warrant. There was no request. There was no judge's order. There was nothing. They just gave it to them willingly. So remember that, folks. When you sign up for something, you give them your DNA. Remember that you don't know what they're going to be doing with that DNA in the future and what that means for you and your family. Your family, yes, your family, because your DNA is their DNA. So.
Yeah, I haven't taken one. My brother actually took one, so I figured that was close enough. You know, I was like, well, I'm close enough related to him that tells me who I am. So,
well, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to remember, like, we can't talk too much trash on YouTube because Susan Wojcicki's sister, the woman who runs YouTube, her sister Ann Wojcicki runs 23andMe. So, shh.
Oh,
you
right.
know nothing.
All right, Silas, we won't talk about that. There's a few things we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube, and that we'll add that to the list here.
I just want to bake them a cake.
Right, so exactly. Just trying to be something nice to them.
Just trying to be nice. Just trying to, hey, just trying to give a shout out to her sister's company, 23andMe. 23andMe
So
company.
do you have any other cool news stories or anything like that you heard about? Or
again, this week's been really lax. It's been a slow news week. I don't know if it's been a slow news week. I guess we're gonna find out next week or the week after that when the real news comes out, like trickling in through Twitter and stuff. But it just seems like the news was dominated by a couple of different topics. I, for one, am happy to see that Nancy Pelosi has to go take her drinks at home now instead of in front of the American public as Speaker of the House. Which, by the way, am I the only person who thinks it's weird that she's got all this money, right? She's got enough money to, like, I don't know, have her husband hit in the head with a hammer. So why is it that she has to have, like, dentures? She couldn't get implants? Like,
yeah, I kind of wondered that, too.
What's going on with that?
Isn't she
Speaker
worth
of the
like
House and she can barely speak.
Right, $120 million or something like that she's worth.
And she's tripping over her own, like, dentures, like, clacking around in her mouth.
Right, from around nice.
Like it's a horse thing with a bit, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sad to see that old woman go. I'd like to see new people.
I'm not sad to see that drunk woman go because hammer time is for everyone now.
Yeah, how do you think Paul's going to have to deal with having her around the house now?
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's why he hired that sex slave / David not the Pope to come in with an extra hammer in his book bag just in case. He's like, I can't take it. She might come home. I just want to drink and drive.
Right. I just want to get another DUI and get it.
Why can't I just drink and drive? I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to become a woman, just like Kim Kardashian's mother's husband. I'm not going to dead name him, but I can't say the other one because, Woman of the Year and all.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we can't all be wieners.
No, not at all. Not at all. We can't all be on the Wheaties box either. So.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I mean, what's great is I was just happy for once that someone connected to the Clinton family crimes conspiracy group. Instead of having a server in the bathroom, he had a phone he used to call the police in the bathroom. I was like, well, that's a step up. I'll take that one. I'm okay with that. Right? I mean, I really do wonder if the same hammer he got hit in the head with was the same hammer that Hillary Clinton used to smash those phones. I got questions. As a conspiracy minded person, I'm like, well, it could be the same hammer. It's always hammer time.
Hammergate. Yeah, the link's there. The link to the hammer.
And the gate being the one that's around her house and apparently around the Capitol building, thanks to Nancy Pelosi. The only person to ever get cut off on a private plane.
Did that really happen?
You got a problem when that happens.
Did that really happen?
No. But I just, in my mind, I know that at some point
probably
there was some poor lady that like used to work for the Emirates, like, flying company or whatever, as a stewardess, or whatever they call them now. That's a politically correct term. And she's like, Miss Pelosi, I think you've had enough to drink. We're going to cut you off. You peed your pantsuit. I think that you've had enough, ma'am.
Right.
We saw last week that Joe Biden couldn't walk up a flight of steps. The eyes are on you, Miss Pelosi, and you've already peed your pantsuit. Right?
How old is she?
She's like on the way to Taiwan, like just pissing her pants, drunk on a plane.
She's got to be pretty old by now, too.
Oh my God. She was pictures of her with Kennedy.
Yeah.
There's rumors that they hooked up. She
Ooh.
does have those big old titties,
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
Kennedy probably liked those.
Men are men.
Yeah. Well.
And drunks are drunks.
And Pelosi's are Pelosi's.
Well.
So I think a lot of people tuned in here that they wanted to learn more about shadow people, Missy.
Oh yeah.
I
It's
think
not
you
as
have a lot to
lighthearted
say
as
about
the
that,
news.
don't you? Yeah. It's not as much
hopefully
fun
it
as the news, but it might. Yeah, she's 82. Colby says so. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi's 82 years old, just now retiring.
Nothing cracks me up. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love everybody equally, and I'm not judging, but maybe a little bit. But I just think it's hilarious that the people that are like trying to be progressive, that are talking about like patriarchy and how much like there is this stigma in the country, and I'm not going to get the details of it, but you know what I'm talking about. And they're like electing all these old white people. Like, what's up with that? They're like patriarchy. Let's make an old white guy the president. Oh, there's this, there's a problem with America, like, racism, blah, blah, blah. Like, Nancy Pelosi is the one that can't speak, but speaks for the House, for everybody, right? It just cracks me up. She made more money than, like, what was it, Warren Buffett? She's doing
Probably
better.
so. I mean, yeah, with the, somehow she's a stock wizard. I've never quite figured that one out, but she is an absolute stock
neither has Warren
wizard.
Buffett. She's making more money than he has, so you got to have goals. What I want to do is I want to figure out what she buys stock in so I can buy something too.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
I think that's the way to handle that one.
That would be nice. Yeah, maybe I'll have to go dress up and start hanging outside her house with a hammer. Maybe I'll get invited in. I can get the stock.
The guy with the nudist. I don't know if you can dress up like that.
It's like I'm just here for the tips. Like, oh shit. Just the
tips?
No, Paul, no. Please.
Let's call a couple tips to the 911. Then everyone's gonna have a different story about what really happened. But yeah, I mean, the subject of the show is not as lighthearted. But we try to like go the show. Welcome to Allegedly, by the way. Allegedly. The first half of the show, or the first hour of the show, we try to like go over the news of the week. Unfortunately, it's been light this week, so we got lots of notes on our second segment. And then in the middle of the show, the second hour, we try to go into something from the conspiracy and or paranormal iceberg. And we're going to have guests coming in. That's coming up soon. So we'll have like a third person that's the expert, and we're just going to be asking questions. So you don't have to listen to me talk like Ben Shapiro as fast as possible to try to fit everything in an hour. And then in the third hour, we're going to start taking questions sent into the chat and also call-ins. We're going to be setting up a StreamYard panel where you can actually come in. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to, but you can go through StreamYard. You can come in for now. We're going to be setting up a number later on, so that's in the future. And we're going to have you be able to ask like these experts that we bring in, these, guests or whatever, which are going to range all over the place. We've got some ideas. We've got some people that have said yes, that are pretty major. So when those people start coming in, you can ask them questions as well. And that might change, but this is the first show, so there's going to be a couple bumps in it. And I guess I'll just go right into our second segment of the evening, our conspiracy of the evening, which is shadow people. Who are they? What are they? Hat Man, the old hag, incubus, succubus, the history of it, where they come from, what they're up to, and why are they here? So, TF, you got anything to add to that?
Not really. I think you summed that up pretty well. And after, I guess like you said, we're going to go over this, and then I guess you're cool with it too. But after we talk about this for a little while, we can bring on, a couple callers if anybody has any questions. So as you're listening along, if you got any questions that come up, feel free to type them into the chat, or after we talk about this, jump on and ask your question.
Yeah, and we're going to streamline this a little bit in the future, but, for now, just deal with it, because I'm cute and he's in charge, so that's how it works.
It is what it is.
So this is a topic, right? It is what it is. You get what you get, folks.
Right.
It's like the cafeteria at school, just take the pizza and go. But
yeah, dump some salad dressing on it if you don't like
right,
it.
Just this is what you get. Costs 89 cents. You get what you get. But TF, when I brought this topic up to you, what was the first thing you said to me? It was interested to you because why?
Because why?
Mm-hmm.
I've actually seen it myself before. I've had my brothers have had problems with it in the past, and I don't know. It's an interesting topic to me. Mm-hmm. Was that the answer you were looking for?
Yeah, and someone in your family also experienced this. The shadow people thing, the sleep paralysis thing, it is a lot more widespread than we'll ever know. Because let's face it, they took away Peter Venkman's funding. So if we need right, so if we need people to dig into this stuff, it's gonna have to be we the people, the non-academics, people that are academics. They're gonna look at you like you're crazy when you bring up shadow people or ghosts or paranormal stuff. And the reason why is because, it's hilarious. The United States government has things like Looking Glass, where they use psychics and remote viewing to try to understand what's going on in other locations for intel, right? And that's fine. But if you say that you believe in ghosts, someone who's a scientist or a PhD or someone at one of those schools that's a professor, they're going to look at you like you've grown an extra head. So it's a very interesting and strange place that we're in. The reason that I wanted to go over shadow people in the first episode was because this is the thing that led me to conspiracies. That's the thing that got me into all of this. And when I was 8 years old, I had a series of sleep paralysis issues where I was afraid to go to sleep. I would sit up with my flashlight with a book, Babysitter's Club. So, shout out to Babysitter's Club. But I'd put the blanket over my head with my flashlight and read books because I didn't want to go to sleep because I'd have sleep paralysis. At the time, I called them sleep paralysis demons in my room at 8 years old. And so I spent a good chunk of time digging into the paranormal. I became a paranormal investigator for 3 years, 8 months, almost 4 years, basically. And I spent all that time learning everything I could about all the material that's out there. And the reason why is because I wanted to understand what happened to me, not because I wanted to know what happened to me and why it happened to me, but to prevent it from happening to someone else because it was such a horrible experience. TF, how did it make you feel? How would you describe your experience with sleep paralysis?
Oh, it's absolutely horrible. You wake up and you're not awake, but you are awake, and you're literally looking at something that's looking back at you, but you can't move. You can't do anything. You can't breathe. All you can do is just sit there in terror. And it feels like it goes on and on and on. And then all of a sudden you kind of come out of it out of a fog, and there you are.
And you're awake.
Right. And you're wide awake.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're are those birds? Is that my alarm clock? Really?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's a scary thing.
It really does feel like, in a way, that you have shifted to somewhere else.
Exactly. And the phenomena of it is that, people all over the world all see basically the same thing. And, why is that? Why is, what is the connection there? And I'm sure you'll talk about that more, but the fact that it goes, widely around the world, different cultures, different religions, different, everything all has these ties to that.
Well, they date back to antiquity, actually. The stories of this date back to antiquity. So here's the deal. So when we talk about shadow people, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about a non-corporeal thing, for lack of a better word. It doesn't have any recognizable facial features. It doesn't have any recognizable clothes, although there are some that look like they're wearing a hat and a cape, depending. They do not look human. They do not feel human. You can tell they're there, even though you're seeing them out the corner of your eye. They are associated with sleep paralysis for a reason, because a lot of the cases are in sleep paralysis cases, but there are shadow people that have been seen in the daytime, and there are shadow people that exist in the woods, not in your home, not in your bedroom. They're actually seen most often locations where you find these things, because every one of these like paranormal entities, no matter whether it's a ghost we're talking about, or an alien, or Bigfoot, or whatever, they have characteristic traits that can be identified that this is what we're talking about. And characteristically, they're seen in homes, hospitals, mental hospitals especially, children's cancer wards, Alzheimer wards, dementia wards. Mental hospitals are one of their favorite places because, again, they look for things that are weak, people that are weak. Penitentiaries, jails, anywhere where humans and trauma and human weakness occurs. Again, mental hospitals is one of their favorite places. I've actually had, I take anecdotal evidence, and I record like conversations with people and like write notes on things. And I've been doing this for since 2000, I think, was when I started looking into this stuff and like taking case notes. And I've had some of the best conversations in Alt Space VR where I just open up a room and have people come in, and I just take notes on what they say or record what they say. And I have nurses, are the number one group of people that come in to talk to me are nurses. Nurses in mental hospitals, nurses in dementia wards, nurses in children's cancer wards. That's the group of people that come in to talk to me about like telling their stories. And it's everything from I saw something out the corner of my eye after that room was cleared, and I don't want to say why, but to I swear someone came to my desk and signed this person out. Never saw them. I just saw something sneak around a corner, and that person had just passed away, and someone signed them out in like the log, stuff like that. All kinds of weird stuff. And yeah. Again, anywhere there's human weakness and trauma and suffering. Matter of fact, there's so many people that have a family member that have dementia or Alzheimer's, and they will speak of seeing these beings, and their family's like, oh, she's crazy, she's got dementia. Until that person passes and they themselves see something all the time. That's a very common story. Again, you have to go with the anecdotal evidence. It's very hard to catch something that is not of this world, or does not belong in this world, I should say, whether it's interdimensional or whatever. The jury's still out. Again, Peter Venkman lost his funding, so we don't know the actual facts. But it's very hard to catch any of these things on camera. So anecdotal evidence is the number one best way to catch any of this stuff. The stuff that's on camera, a lot of it's able to be debunked. Again, this camera is not made. The camera on your phone is better than it used to be. And sometimes we can catch stuff, but it's not very well done. It's very grainy. It's questionable. There's a reason why you can't catch any of this stuff very clearly. It's not made to be caught with that camera because it's not from here. So anyways, back to the characteristic traits. Shadow people. They feed off human emotions. They love fear, trauma, worry, guilt, etc. They always, like literally negative in almost every case. Although there are people that will argue that the dark shadow person thing, they'll protect it because they think they need it. It's hilarious. I had a girlfriend of mine that she swore, like, she's like, no, it's good. It's a good entity. And I'm like, you're going to get divorced. Like, you need to get that thing out of your house. And guess what? She got divorced. And after she got divorced, guess what happened? The thing that was in her house turned on her, because now there wasn't any strife to interfere in the marriage. So there wasn't any fighting in the house anymore. Things got real quiet. So it turned on her.
Oh, wow.
Fact. Yeah, that's an actual story from someone that I'm very tight with. I don't want to get too much in detail, but that's a real story from someone I'm really close with. These are not ghosts. These are not aliens. They could be interdimensional. We don't know yet. Future science. Some are only seen at the corner of your eye. Some interact with people. People usually hear a hum and a whoosh, like a sound or whatever. And they feel tightness in their chest when it's sleep paralysis related. A rush of air is heard. So those are the characteristics that we can be across the board. Every story contains one or all of those things. And there's different types. I mean, does that sound familiar to you? Do those things track?
Yeah. And I mean, I have heard of, like you said, they're not alien. A lot of people, that's a common, a common theory of it, that they're actually aliens from a different, coming in to check on the people that they're watching over. And then there is the other thing, with the ghosts, but ghosts, it doesn't really seem to match up, because ghosts are usually more, light colored, more,
ghosts
stuff like that.
Have a corporeal, like
right.
They look like they have a body. These things don't have a face. They don't have you can't see like their arm, right? Like they don't have like an arm hanging out. Like
right, exactly.
Ghosts are corporeal. They have also ghosts tend to have faces. They tend to express anguish through their faces, right? They've got eyes. You can see their eyes. They wear period clothing. I don't think that ghosts are even dead. I think that time isn't what we think it is. And I think you're seeing a live person, not a dead person. But that's the story for another time, because we're not talking about ghosts right now. But these are definitely not ghosts. Ghosts have characteristics as well. These are not ghosts. These are not dead people. These are not people that are even alive. These have never been people. They don't even move like people move. They move, even the ones that are quickly moving, like you see them like crouching down or move across the room quickly across the floor or across a wall. They don't move like people move. They're not people. They've never been people. They're not human at all.
Do you think they're actually here with ill intent?
I don't think they're here with ill intent. I think they're here to feed. They're a parasite. I can't tell you how many houses I went to as a paranormal investigator where they're like, that's Alice. She's in her attic. Yeah, this is her. She just makes noises playing with her jocks. Or like, well, yeah, we got like Steve. He died in the building. He lives here now. Sometimes he gets us up in the middle of the night and there's just smash noise in the kitchen. Nothing's broken. Maybe because Steve cleans up after himself. And I'm like, dude, if that was an actual person, let's say you left your door open. And some homeless dude named Steve moved into your house, right? You'd be like, Steve, you're sucking all the air out the room. Get the F out. But because that's a dead person, you think it's a dead person, you make excuses for it, right? Just because you think it's a child in your attic dicking around with jacks, like that's fine. Like if it was a live child, you call CPS. Why do we make excuses? Why do we like give them a pass? Like, dude, these are not people. Why are you letting it like share your space? You're not like that altruistic. Calm down. Like, no, stop it. Right?
You would think so. I wouldn't want any Steve wandering around breaking the dishes in my house.
Yeah. So, but plus it's waking you up in the middle of the night, and that's because it's causing strife to upset you. Your wife is like, oh my God, someone with a knife. I think he's got a knife. I think I heard a knife. Bob, you have to get up. There's something in the kitchen. I heard breaking. And then you're like, Steve, you rascal. Like,
quit clowning.
You got an important presentation the next day, right? Your wife's freaking tired because you've got 3 kids. Really? Really, Steve? Get him out your house. Like, that's so stupid. That's a parasite. Don't name your parasites. This is my tapeworm.
That's funny.
He's my best friend. His name is Bob. I let him live here because why not? Like, it's so stupid. But yeah. They definitely have characteristics. They're not people. These are definitely not people. Real ghosts, like you see them for a second and they disappear. They can also acknowledge you. They can be afraid of you, or they can run away from you, or they can be scared or angry. They can be angry at you. You can see it on their face because they have a face, right? These are not ghosts. These are not used to be people. So let's just clear that up. Actually, it's interesting because the word nightmare actually comes from the Norse word for mara, or mare, right? And it means like the worst of the worst. Every culture's got their own origin story. I mean, some villages and cities have their own particular shadow person that like afflicts that certain area, believe it or not. It's definitely a universal legend. Stories date back to antiquity, such as jinn or the genie. It comes from, it literally means smoke and fire, right? And that's in the Arabic nations. Like there's still people today that believe in the jinn. And it's interesting how we have Disney glorifying that and like making it like where it's not a scary thing, but a real genie, like the ones that are like referred to in art and culture and ancient texts. Like you do not want to like sing a song about Prince Ali with these guys. No, you don't want that. Like they're terrifying. They can kill you. They actually can kill you, is what they believe. We got, let's see, the Choctaw Indians had the Nasalusa Chito, which means human soul, and the Naza Fayaya, which, I'm saying that wrong, I'm sure. The Nasalusa Fayaya, which translates to long black being, and it hangs out in the woods.
Do you not speak Choctaw?
It'll suck you in. Yeah, the Choctaw Indians. Then you've got medieval culture that has the incubus and the succubus, which we know what those are. Thanks, metal. Nothing better than a good metal song. Thank you for sharing that with us. Russia has the Kikamora. They also had, it's named after the Mara and the Maras, and they'd strangle you in your sleep. The Hebrew people had Lilith, which people would actually take their homes. When you had a new home, they would, when they built a home, it had to be in a circular, it couldn't be in a circular shape. It had to be in a square or a rectangle, because they had to bury the statues of Lilith in the corner of each part of the house. And they do excavations all the time in archaeology and find these little statues of Lilith. And it's to protect them from SIDS, for their because SIDS happen and they blamed it on these things, right? Sudden infant death syndrome. And if they were infertile, they would blame it on these incubus and succubus. So these are not new. The Sumerians had Alu, which roamed the night searching for sleeping victims. They can paralyze, possess, and put into a coma. Sumerians. So this goes back to antiquity.
Yeah, it goes all the way back.
Yeah, and then there's the newer version of it, which also I think at one point will become part of the mythos of our culture, which is Peter Pan and his shadow. Creepy, right? How can your shadow get away from you? Well, maybe it's not part of you in the first place. I'm just saying, there's a lot. I mean, people say, why does it go back to ancient times? Are they fallen angels? What are they? Where do they come from? I'll tell you this much. There's a reason why ghost hunters seek out crumbling and abandoned prisons, sanitariums, and hospitals. It's easy to catch something that's weak. It's easier to catch something that's weak on camera than it is to catch something that is not weak, that's been feeding off human psyche and human emotions, negative human emotions, than it is to catch something that has been around for a while and hasn't fed. Period. And that's why they come after it and they try to talk trash, because they're feeding it just a little. There's no real feeling behind it, but it's just enough negativity to wake it up and get it moving.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's in the same way that the way that they feed off people who are weak. I mean, it works both ways as well. I mean, they're going to go and feed off people who have, are going through some kind of suffering or bad health, stress.
Yeah.
Anything where you are weak, that's what they're going to prey on. So,
like I said, these people that come to these, you'll see it on the ghost hunter shows or whatever. By the way, take all that with a grain of salt. Remember, there's countless places they've been, and these are the ones they can dramatize. The editors and the people that are in charge of the show are the ones that do all that. It's not the actual team themselves. But I gotta ask questions about anybody that would be willing to do that for the camera, because anybody that's been a paranormal investigator, we do not get paid. You do not get paid. You do it out of the kindness of your heart. It is not just a hobby. It is something where you're I am doing the work that no one else is willing to do, and I'm doing it for free. I'm going into the places other people are terrified of, because I want to secure. I want to make people secure in their own homes. These things are trying to take their home away from them. I want to get their home back to them. So anybody that goes on camera and wants to film all that and then dramatize their results, which, by the way, how many clips from ghost hunters? What was it, sci-fi or whatever? How many ghost hunters clips where they're of these things, of something they caught? How many actually existed? What was it? How many seasons do they do? How many shows do they do? And how many things were actually caught on camera?
Yeah, I stay away of any kind of reality television.
My point is that
reality.
Very few. And that's what and that's just one of or two of the locations that they went. There's 10 other locations they went to try to film. They caught nothing. There was nothing. So you're catching the best of the best of the best. And even then they only caught a couple. That was it.
Right.
And then again, what they do is they try to mess with, they say negative things. They taunt the dark things in these sanitariums, these penitentiaries, whatever, because these are things that are long deprived of human interaction or human activity. So when people come in to try to film these things, when they start talking trash, right, it wakes up, and it can't hurt them. Sometimes there are cases where it has. I don't know how much of that's true. I wasn't there personally. But most of the time, it's just enough to wake them up so you can catch it on camera, because if it's weak, you can catch it on the camera. If it is strong, you're not going to catch anything on camera. You're just going to have someone rifling with your dishes in the middle of the night and being like, that joker, Steve.
Right.
He's back.
Back to Steve.
He does whatever he wants. We just leave our doors open for everybody. But yeah, I mean, many people want to argue that they're ghosts or not ghosts. It's something completely different. when we talked about how like it's time and all, there's actually different types of shadow people. There's the humanoid figure. Notice I didn't say humanoid person because they're, again, not corporeal. They just look like the shadow of a person. There you go. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of something
that looks
like
what
that.
the top pal mentioned.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they look like they'd be human. It's like the shadow of a human. And these ones apparently can touch you. So there's that. Old Bill Cosby's rolling in his grave. Bill Cosby's comeback tour.
He's coming back.
Oh God. So yeah, that's one of them. Then you have the Hat Men, which is like the inspiration, believe it or not, for the Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy is based on Freddy Krueger. Yeah, doesn't it look like Freddy Krueger? Because that's what that story is. What inspired Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right, Wes Craven, and didn't that come? I'm trying to think. Didn't that come from when the was it the Hmong people coming over and they were all dying in their sleep after?
That was part of it, but again, like we don't know. There's these folklore stories are so dangerous because we don't know what they've given their children to ingest as children. We don't know if they were living in houses that were made out of like they've taken out from other things that are full of asbestos. We don't know. Especially when it comes to these poor nations, when they come over here, like to escape tyranny. What makes you think tyranny wasn't going on there for a long time before it was happening? You know, when we're aware of it. So again, like we don't know. It could be mold that came from them in these subtropical. We don't know. We don't know, and no one studied enough to find out. Isn't that pathetic?
Right. They just brush it off. No, we don't know why it's happening, but But
yeah, I mean, they talked about the Hat Men. The Hmong people talked about the Hat Men extensively. And that's definitely the thing that comes to your room at night. You see it from your bed. It looks like they're wearing a fedora, sometimes a cape. But they are an emotional vampire, and they feed off of your negative emotions. I love how this guy brought his friends. Like, that would never happen. It's always just one.
Right, exactly. He's showing up with his buddies.
Yeah, maybe he's in a butt rock band with Tim Pool. I don't know. But yeah, they have no corporeal body. People wake up and feel like it was a very lucid nightmare and relieved that it's over. But while it's happening, it is like utter, complete gut-punching fear and terror. Like literally, it's painfully, like it's like having a panic attack. I've had panic attacks. I've also had sleep paralysis. Having a panic attack while you're awake and walking around is completely crappy. It sucks. It's awful. It's like complete abject fear. Having sleep paralysis is that times 20.
Yeah, like I said, it's only happened to me twice in my life, but it was one of the most terrifying things that you could ever experience.
I would say it is.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of roller coasters. I used to be afraid of roller coasters, but I had sleep paralysis enough. I was like, fuck it. Like, let's do this. Like, what's going to happen?
That shit don't happen again. I'm cool.
Right. Nothing scares me anymore. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm like cliff dive. I'm like, let's do this. I've had sleep paralysis. This is nothing. Seriously.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, put it in perspective. But yeah, they have no corporeal body. When you wake up, it feels like it really happened. It was like lucid dreaming. Sometimes the Hat Men there are anecdotal evidence where they've followed people, and then there's anecdotal evidence that they have stayed in one location and been a plague to several different families that lived in that location.
Okay.
Yeah. The stories are all like,
I mean, aren't they're known to be like the more dangerous of them all too. Am I correct on that?
Again, it's believed that the jinn could kill you. And when it comes to the humanoid figured ones, the ones that come like touch you and get up close, they get up in your face because they apparently have not been taught any manners. They just want to touch your face. That's the real Bill. Again, the Bill Cosby version of them. Like that one, if they can touch you, I have not had a single incident where someone's actually been hurt by like sleeping, like where they were sleeping. But I had a house that I responded to that scared the bejesus out of me, where a toddler was being attacked in the bathtub, and he kept getting scratches, and his mother couldn't figure out what it was. And she was a devout Catholic. She called the priest. Priest came in, blessed the house, did an exorcism. Nothing worked. Finally, they called us out of desperation, And I pulled the 13-year-old daughter. Immediately I walked in the house. I don't know. I just know things sometimes. I'm not going to say it's like being psychic or whatever, because I can't control it. I just got, for lack of a better term, God tells me things. And I just walked in the house and I knew. I pulled the little girl that was 13, or his sister, aside, and I pulled her outside. And I was like, hey, what'd you do? Because she looked guilty, but she looked goth at the same time. Never trust a guilty goth.
A guilty goth.
That's how you know. That's how it's Friday. I'm in love. Like, what day of the week it is? How do you even know that? I don't trust you. I don't trust you, Gadzooks. Knock it off. But yeah, hot topic, girl. I pulled her outside, and she was like, yeah, me and my friend were playing with a Ouija board on the toilet in the bathroom. Because the mom was like a hardcore Catholic and wouldn't allow it. And now this thing's been attacking her brother, and no one could figure out what it is. And once we knew what it was, we knew how to kick it out. But the Catholic Church, like, can't give people, like, the tools they need sometimes. Sometimes it works. Sometimes the fear of church even scares ghosts. They're like, I don't want to go to church today. No, thank you. We go once a year, and this ain't it. Right?
Yeah, this ain't Christmas.
Right?
It's not Easter.
It's not Saturday.
What are you talking about?
I'm out of here. Yeah, but that was a very crazy, and I saw the child, and I saw the wounds. And again, we caught nothing. We caught nothing on camera, nothing in the recordings. Like, there was no EMF, so there was nothing. And it was so crazy to the point where, like, the mom started suspecting the child was doing it for attention. So, but we ended up again, you can't film a child in the bathtub. So,
right.
Yeah. Can't film that. But
yeah, not much you can do about that.
Doing that. We cleaned the house. That was that. It left them alone. But yeah, they've been known to, attack people. Yes, they can hurt you. It's just very rare,
I got you. So what else is there? There's the old hag as well, right?
Yes, there is the old hag, or riding the hag is what it's called, which is what I was told when I was 8 and I was having this experience, which I didn't find out till I started going to like one of those like non-denominational churches, the ones where they hold their hands up like everyone's on a roller coaster, just to make sure. Are we all on the roller coaster? Okay, we're here. Right? Everybody comes up and gets resaved every time they go to church. Like, oh, I'm rededicating my life to Christ. I was like, you did this last week, Carl.
Right. While they listen to Christian rock.
Yeah,
with the Christian rock playing.
I'm pretty sure I saw an advertisement of that band just a second ago. By Tim Pool. MXPX with Tim Pool now. But yeah. Yeah, like I had one of those churches, and one of our youth group leaders, I told her about it, and she told me what was going on. And that was when I was like 12. It wasn't until I was 12 till I had any understanding about what was going on, even though I searched every UFO book, every pyramid book, every ghost story. I looked for it for years. This is before the internet, folks. You couldn't just like type in Google, At the time, they were still calling it back rub, I'm sure. So it didn't exist at the time. So I had no way to search for it. So going through libraries, I became like someone that hung out at libraries a lot. I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. My parents just told me to pray it away, and they couldn't understand. Again, my dad was a Southern Baptist minister. They had no advice to give me. So this youth leader at church told me I was riding the hag. She goes, this is what I was told it is. And she was Irish, and that's, that was her background on it. So yeah, the hag is definitely, it's part of it. I mean, that's definitely a story. And it's where, a woman sits in your chest and sucks your breath. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a second. Not the old hag, but like the sucking the breath thing and how it relates to other things. But yeah, yeah. That's I think a Renaissance era.
Yeah, that goes all the way back to Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other ones of her on here, but was the one that was what my brother. That's what he kept seeing, and that's when I actually first learned about it, because he started doing a lot of research trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
Well, that's a humanoid.
He found out. Right.
That's a humanoid. Actually, there's different types of shadow people. You've got your watchers, which there's no interaction. They just, again, the creepiest. This is so creepy. If it's an actual person, you should definitely kick out your house. No interaction. They just watch. They stand at the end of your bed or in a corner. And it's very prevalent in sleep paralysis, where they'll see them. It's like you can see them, but you can't directly look at them. It's like denied to you. It's a weird thing. It's like a dance where you're like, if I could just move my little toe.
Right.
And the rest of me can move. It's like you seriously, it's like the same thing that people that go through actual paralysis experience, where I'm like, if I can just move my toe, then I can like poke my boyfriend next to me and wake him up, and he can scare this thing off because I can't look at it. It won't let me look at it.
Right.
It takes advantage of you being weak. And
it's the weirdest feeling because you're basically just
cycles.
stuck. Yeah, you're basically just stuck.
They take advantage of your sleep cycles. You know? Then you got your lurkers. Okay? These are the things you can see out your peripheral vision. You can see them peeking around corners, furniture, etc. When you look at them, you can't look at them because you're not sleeping. Like, this is not one that messes with you in your sleep. A lurker is like just hanging out, and you see it out the corner of your eye, and you see it, and it ducks, and you can see it move away from you, and you're like, "What the hell was that?" These are the ones that I tell you about that seen in hospitals a lot. Lurkers, you know, not watchers, just lurkers. Nurses and orderlies and people that work in hospitals see these a lot. I've had so many stories from those people. And when you see them, they duck behind the furniture, or behind the thing or whatever, behind like the corner, behind whatever is close. And they can't touch you. They're not interested in like getting closer to you. They're hiding. It's like kind of like a very, very shy animal, for lack of a better way to describe it. And it doesn't have a human face. It doesn't have, again, non-corporeal, but it does move. It looks like it could be a human. It has the outline of like a human, but then it moves like an animal, like a scared animal. Then you got your scurriers. Oh, this is a fun one. Your scurriers. These are really small, close to the ground. You can see them on walls, running up walls, or hanging out on ceilings, and they move really fast. But they don't have a body. So what you see is when they move, they squish. Their shape gets smaller until they disappear. Right? I'm sorry, guys. I'm giving everybody nightmares, but I'm just giving you the facts, bro. I got notes. I'm just trying to give you all the facts.
Everybody's going to be afraid to turn their lights out tonight.
Nobody's sleeping tonight. Yeah. But yeah, the scurriers are like, I mean, again, like, if it was daytime and it wasn't where you just gone through some sort of trauma, like you just unplugged your grandma from a machine or something, these things wouldn't be scary. If you think about it, they're kind of humorous, you know? It's the sleep paralysis ones that are horrifying. The rest of them are kind of like ridiculous if you think about it. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be afraid of this thing, but it can't even face me.
Right, exactly.
Right? It won't even get close to me. Is that a squirrel? Am I ADHD? Like, what's going on here? Right? So, I mean, those are the different types. I mean, there's more information to add to that, but like, we're just trying to like keep to the basics. Again, like, it's one of those things where we have to go off the anecdotal evidence. So there's antiquital, like there's ancient texts, there's ancient accounts, there's stories that go all the way back to the beginning of the human. Like, literally, when we first started writing down words, we recognized this was a problem and talked about it then. And you guys can look that up. Please feel free to dig into that on Google and all. But now that we talk about what they are, what I'm sure everybody wants to know now is what are we going to do about them?
Right. What you gonna do about it now?
Well, we can't call Ghostbusters because they took away Peter McMahon's funding. So,
right. Exactly.
I mean, like, TF, how did you handle it? What did you do? What did your brother, your buddy do?
Well, I mean, as far as I was concerned myself, like I said, it only happened to me twice, and it was, obviously it was during times when I was really tired and had been, overexerted myself in a lot of ways. My brother, he was trying to finish up college and was working, same kind of situation. It seems like when you're under a lot of stress, so it kept happening to him during that, and after that, it just kind of went away once he got so I mean, I do think like scientifically there is a logical reason as to why it happens when you are drained like that, and there's different ways to look at it. So is it just your mind playing tricks on you, or is it actually something there? It's hard to imagine that all around the world and everybody sees the same thing.
Over generations. Like, we're talking about exactly. millennia. We're talking about things that date back, the stories, the statues that they found, the Lilith statues that they found buried in the corners of the house, right, for the Hebraic people. This dates back to like Jericho, the oldest city.
I mean, it goes back as far as history as we have.
Yes. As long as there's been humans, there have been stories about these things. You know?
Right. Yeah. So that's what makes it hard to, if you're going to scientifically look at it this way, but at the same time, I mean, how is it possible? Like when my brother started looking into it, neither one of us, we didn't know anything about it. And all of a sudden he came to me and he's like, holy shit. He says, I started looking into this and I looked on the internet and there's these pictures of this thing that I saw, and he was so freaked out.
Well, if it's on the internet, it has to be true. So
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I Googled it. I went to Wikipedia. So it's got to be right.
Somebody in the chat, LW, said, I'm a lurker. I'm lurking right now. Well, God bless you.
That's what the L in LW stands for.
I'm going to send you to the feet of God and let it mail you personally. But yeah, I mean, so we talked about like all these things, and we know that these stories date back to antiquity. And there has been an uptick in people that have had these experiences. Oddly enough, it coincides with the invention of light bulbs and electricity. I don't know about you, but you ever been in a Walmart and you're uncomfortable because like the fluorescent lights and like just it makes you feel like ugh.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? You've been at a job, you work for somebody, and they had those awful fluorescent lights, and it felt like your soul was being like, it just made you uncomfortable, like nails on a chalkboard lighting.
Right, exactly. And I mean, some people it'll even give it like seizures too and stuff like that. The wrong kind of lighting and things like that.
Absolutely. So I mean, in that same vein, we've had an uptick in this kind of stuff ever since electricity was invented, and that's because what we now have is a phenomenon of electromagnetic frequencies that leak, and it's very interesting. Like for me, when I would go to a house and there was a story, there was something going on, the first thing I would do was to check the EMF meters on the ceiling fans, on the air intake. There's a heating, but I would check carbon monoxide levels, because believe it or not, carbon monoxide levels and very low level of carbon monoxide can cause all kinds of hallucinations and paranoia and things like that. But the EMF meters, when people see those, they think they're catching ghosts. Like you've seen, like people making jokes about, we got an EMF meter, looking for ghost hunting. I'm like, you're using that completely wrong. The purpose of the EMF meter is to actually debunk there being a ghost. The purpose of it is to find out if there's electromagnetic frequency leaks in the old wiring, or in the ceiling fan being wired wrong, or I don't know, parts from China ceiling fans, right? Where they're not very good quality, or the electrical was wired wrong, which happens when people are like pushing out these track homes, things like that. The EMF meter tells you, like, look, they're not seeing ghosts. They're having, the symptoms of, this electromagnetic frequency leak. Damn it, I just realized I left the printout on my freaking printer with all the symptoms. It's like paranoia, the feeling of being watched. It's a long list. If you hang on a second, actually I can pull it up on my phone because I saved that article. Oh yeah, like it's a long laundry list.
And things like that'll drive you crazy. Noises and
you don't know what's wrong.
Any kind. Right. And some things your ear is not even really picking it up, but your brain is. So you might not even be hearing something that's actually really there. And, it can drive people mad. Just, like we're saying, the water dripping, like a water drip, and you're trying to go to sleep and it just drives you insane. Well, there's other sounds that'll come in that can drive you insane that you don't even actually hear those sounds.
Absolutely. What happens is like, because it's affecting. And we see this with things like Havana syndrome. Like they don't actually hear anything. It's called infrasound, right? But it makes them like have seizures, vertigo. They've got issues like it damages your brain, and it's just sound that you can't even hear, infrasound. And the same thing's true with the water dripping thing. When you're awake, it bothers you. So imagine that. Sleep. Imagine like something like dripping water, but it's happening with your ceiling fan. You think you hear just your fan, but that hum, again, the first thing I talked about was like these things that usually have in tandem with them, a humming noise and a whoosh of air. That could be your fan cutting on for your exhaust. That's wired wrong. And it could cause you to feel paranoia, like something's watching you. There's something in the room, seeing stuff out the corners of your eye, mild hallucinations. These things happen from electromagnetic frequency leakage. What was that story, TF, you were telling me about?
Right.
Earlier?
Where it was the
apartment building thing?
Yeah, there was an apartment building, and it's been so long since it happened. I'm trying to I can't really remember where it was. But there was a big apartment building, and they were having all these people who started committing suicide in it, and were going just mad, these people. So they started thinking that, oh, wow, this place must be possessed. There must be some. So they brought in the paranormal people. They were
looking for a serial killer.
Yeah, I mean, people were jumping out of their windows. People were hanging themselves. People were, doing everything they could possibly do. They were going insane. So in the end, it actually turned out that in this old apartment building, it was a real big building, that up in the exhaust fan, one of the blades had a bend to it, and it had been bent, like by a bird flying into it or something like that. And it was putting off a frequency.
Hang on. Birds aren't real.
Oh, right.
Well, it was a fake podcast. Birds aren't real. I mean, if they are real, they're robots created by the CIA. That's why they sit on electrical wires. It's for them to charge.
Right. Yeah, that's how they get their charge.
Birds aren't real.
But yeah, so anyway, the ceiling fan had actually been bent, and it was giving off a sound that nobody could actually really hear. But the hum when that thing was coming on was actually driving people insane. And that was causing them to, that's what it turned out to be. So it wasn't any kind of paranormal thing. It wasn't anything like that. It was actually just a sound that was making these people go mad.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it because here we have, we know the wiring fans cause electromagnetic leaking. The National Toxicology Program found evidence of DNA damage and an increased likelihood of developing cancer from exposure to transformers, cell phone frequencies. I mean, that's why your phone comes with a little piece of paper from the FCC that has a health warning on it. That's why, in the box with your new phone, and living next to cell phone towers. In 2015, 220 scientists who have been published in peer-reviewed journals from all over the world signed the International Scientist Appeal Warning against cell phones, infrastructure, Wi-Fi, smart grid tech technology, and devices like baby monitors and commercial broadcast equipment. They didn't address ceiling fans, but we know that electromagnetic frequencies and the infrared sound affects temporal lobe activity. Infrasound is ultra high or ultra low frequencies not detected by the human ear. Now we know all that, right? But here's the deal: when I talk about ceiling fans being dangerous, I'm gonna quote some actual situations for you. For example, in Korea, there is the fan death fear. Yeah. Korean fan death, just Google it. You'll see what I'm talking about. Basically, what they tell you is, and this is like you don't even understand, like this is something that every summer they talk about on the news, like it's Bill Cosby, like it's a real story. When you sleep at night with an electric fan running, you might not wake up again, is what they say. They think fans are lethal, and they thought this since the introduction of fans in Korea in the 1920s. So this has been going on since the 1920s. It's 100 years. There's been stories of asphyxiation, face paralysis, and nausea. And that's been repeated by the media and the general public, again, since 1920. Even in the orientation, I just read an article today from a woman who had a blog or whatever. And even in the orientation for her as a foreigner to come speak, to teach English to Korean children, it was mentioned in that about how they shouldn't turn on the fan or sleep with the fan on because you could die. Like the government issued a warning. The Korean government issued a warning against fan death or feeling like you're going to die, asphyxiation. Legit. In India, if you just Google Indian fan suicides, the Indian Institute of Science had an email that was leaked in 2021 where a student council had a 15-day drive to remove all ceiling fans from dorm rooms in an attempt to curb student suicides. Ceiling fans were directly related to suicides there. In 2010, the Indian Institute of Technology, completely different school, completely different. It was this in Camp Earth.
Freak me out. This fan above my head started to freak me out.
Dude, they decided to replace ceiling fans with pedestal fans after a string of student suicides. In 2017, 700 dorms in Kota in India did the same. In 2019, IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology, in Madras in Chennai, they aimed a suicide prevention. They forced all the dorms to install a suicide prevention device. They are convinced that ceiling fans lead to suicides.
That's interesting. And do you think that's because of the sound, or?
Again, there's no one studying this shit.
Right.
Hello? Peter Venkman lost his funding. There's no one looking at this. And if you mention this to a scientist, other than these 220 that admitted, but the only reason they even talked about this is because people were like flipping out about 5G for good reason. Because there are massive bird deaths, except the birds aren't real.
Yeah, how do you can't kill a bird. Come on now.
No, but you can kill the robots from the CIA.
Right.
They can't charge. You just hit them with that EMF, you know, they out, boy. But yeah, I mean, like, again, like,
that's interesting about the ceiling fans, though.
Yes. For suicide prevention, they removed the ceiling fans. And in Korea, they're convinced you do not sleep with the fan on at night. Now, they won't, the Korean people, you have to remember, they are very reserved when it comes to talking about paranormal stuff. They do not talk about those kinds of things. Like, they do not like it. They will not. They're very reserved. I worked at a Korean restaurant for years in the summers when I used to work for a record label, and I go on tour events like 7 months out of the year. And I live with my parents because there's no point in getting an apartment. Because I was home for like maybe 4 months out of the year, maybe 4 or 5 months. That's it. And the rest of the year I was out on the road, and I couldn't trust anybody with my stuff, you know? So I just like moved in with my parents, was out on the road all the time. But when I was at home, I'd work at this Korean restaurant because in the summer, nobody tours in the South. It's too freaking hot. So, trust me, being in a van with a bunch of dudes that haven't showered in a while is brutal. Being in a van with a bunch of dudes that haven't showered in a while in the summer, double brutal. So, yeah, like nobody tours in the summer. So I would come home and I work at this Korean restaurant. And whoo, like, I'm telling you right now, I had just come off of my Florida stint of doing paranormal investigating. And these people did not want to hear it. They do not talk about that. If anything, one of the girls said, "What are you, Japanese?" When I tried to talk about ghosts. And like, yeah, I'm serious. She
yeah,
like, "What are you,
they
Japanese?"
love to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. She made fun of me for it. But yeah, I mean, that, again, like, this is one of the things that we know there's paranoia. We know that it causes like temporal lobe issues. This is one of the things they can actually prove. One of the few things they've actually studied. There's a ceiling fan right above you right now. No one can miss. I know. Just don't hang yourself from it, okay?
Colby says he's been staring at it. Colby says he's been staring at it for the past
hour. I'm sure
hour.
one of the chat is like, why would you do that? Well, I'm in my closet and you got a ceiling fan like whacking around above your head. But yeah, that's one of the things that people say could cause sleep paralysis. Now, I have it. It's crazy. I have a ceiling fan downstairs that's old, like right in my living room. And it's like, I've got a cathedral ceiling, so it has to like hang down or whatever. When I fall asleep on the couch, I have sleep paralysis. When I fall asleep in my bed, got a ceiling fan in my room, keep it on all the time. That thing's on 24/7. It does more work than anybody I know. It's the hardest working fan in the world. It's always on. But my fan in my room, no problem. Never have sleep paralysis. But when I fall asleep on the couch, sleep paralysis. Not every time, but more often than anywhere else.
Yeah, but that's the only time you have. If I fall asleep
in a hotel room and the fan's running, sleep paralysis. So, what do we know? We know that there could be some people that are not having an actual entity visit them. There's a good chance that half of them are, actual, like, I'm not just counting the demonic thing, because I know that's real too. I've seen it. I've dealt with it. I've seen things scurry off. I've seen it. So I know that's real. I'm not saying that they're all, debunked, but I'm saying that half of them, there's a good chunk of people out there that just have electrical issues. Get your electrical looked at. Get your ceiling fan looked at. Get an EMF meter. If you're having sleep paralysis, get an EMF meter and measure your room. See if it's your ceiling fan. See if it's an old house that has like wiring that's deteriorated. You could solve that problem. Move. Whatever it takes. Like, you need to know, though, that this is not paranormal Because if it's not paranormal, you can solve the problem a lot easier than if it is paranormal.
Right. And like, I would say that a large majority of things like that are probably not and are some kind of issue as, a ceiling fan or the humming of, your AC unit, something like that.
The chat says, Joey Foster says, I'm a shadow person, beware. And then Bulldog JC says, turn off your ceiling fan for going to sleep, traveling fools. And then Colby says, I've been staring at TF ceiling fan for the past hour. Now I'm questioning myself.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I should have warned you to take that out the camera before we went over all this stuff. But again, if we can debunk it, everyone gets mad because like everyone wants to say like, oh, well, my story is different, blah 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 blah. Like there's a reason. Like Steven should be allowed to live in my house. He's my guest.
Right, and everybody wants to feel like they're special and have,
He's not even breaking stuff. He's just pretending to break stuff, which I think is worse. That's a dick move, Steven. But
right, at least
right. It's like your girlfriend being like, I'm breaking up with you and blocking you, and then she never does. That's what it's like, right?
Right. It's like all those celebrities that moved to Canada and are quitting Twitter.
They're leaving Twitter, but they're letting you know first.
Right.
Exactly. Like Steven, like just break the glasses. If you're a badass, break some shit. Like break some shit for real. Don't like pretend. What a dick. Steven's a dick. But like there's a lot of cases where like people want to like argue that like the thing that's going on and they can like make peace with it. But again, like we're not talking about people. We are not, they do not have the motivations that humans have. They are not human. They've never been human. They will never be human. They are not human. They're not like us. They're different. But the EMF thing, there are cases where it's as simple as not sleeping with your fan on. It's as simple as go hard Korean, no fan when you sleep. There's cases where you could just move and it'll stop happening. I want people to know this so they can protect themselves. Now, the other thing that people use to debunk sleep paralysis is, you ever heard of pareidolia? You know what that is?
No, I'm not.
I hope I'm saying that right. Pareidolia. It's where you ever like seen a face in a cloud?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the tendency for perception. I'm going to read the exact definition. The tendency for perception to impose a meaningful interpretation on a nebulous stimuli, usually visual, so that one sees an object, pattern, or meaning where there is none. So a lot of the time, the people that are the ones that are watchers, they sum it up to the scientists, the people that, are neurologists and are experts on this. They sum it up to pareidolia. I'm going to debunk their debunk, though, because what they don't understand is the terror that comes with it. That deep-seated, like legit, like you want to almost throw up, but you can't move terror. There's nothing like it. There's literally, if heroin is if heroin is the best drug, like you feel the highest on, then this is the fear version of heroin. You feel like your insides are going to come out from terror, for lack of a better way to describe it. I mean, wouldn't you say that about sums it up? Yeah,
I would. I mean, like I said before, it's like sleep paralysis is the scariest thing you can ever experience, or that I have ever experienced. I mean, hopefully there won't be anything worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope not. I mean, at the end of the day, people want to ask like, well, why me? When it is demonic related. People go, why me? What's wrong with me? Why me? Why is this happening to me? It doesn't happen to anybody else I know. Why is it happening to me? Well, 2 out of 5 Americans believe in ghosts. 1 out of 5 Americans have had some sort of, ghost experience. And that's just ghosts and just Americans. I mean, I would venture to say it's maybe 1 out of 3 from my experience, maybe even half. Maybe 1 out of 2 people have experienced some sort of paranormal activity. It's just that people don't want to talk about it because, again, there's that stigma. The United States government's willing to invest money in projects to look into this stuff, right? But if you say to someone like, I'm a ghost hunter, they look at you like, oh my God, thank God you're pretty.
Right, you're a lunatic.
You're crazy. You're a freaking lunatic. You're a crazy person.
That's what
they hold their purse closer. They're like, oh no, oh bless your heart. Right? But I mean, I really do think that there's more people than not that have experienced some sort of sleep paralysis and dealt with something they can't explain. I want to give people the tools they need to try to understand these things so they don't live in fear, because there's nothing to be afraid of. Again, they can't hurt you. They can't kill you. Those are legends that are long in the past. I mean, if a ghost could hurt you, right? If a demon or whatever could attack you, don't you think there'd be at least 1 or 2 articles a week in the newspaper being like, Bobby went fisticuffs and lost with a paranormal demon? Like, don't you think that would like be news articles about something to that relation? I mean, not everybody's on bath salts. It's not all Florida. So I mean, you can't like just say that.
Hey now,
you know what I mean? Like, there would be at least like 1 killing a year, at least 1, where someone got killed by a ghost, right? At least 1. Suspect swears pushed down the stairs by a shadow person. Like, you would see that, even in the weird and wild and wacky news, and you don't. You just don't. I never went to a single house where the ghost tried to kill them. There was only one situation where the ghost could touch them, and that was a child, and it was in a bathtub. And it wasn't a ghost, it was a shadow person. It was demonic, legit demonic. And on top of that, you have to remember that because it was a small child, their pineal gland hadn't calcified, which means they were closer to God because they were babies, they're young. And the same reason they can pretend than we can as adults, there was something special about that situation. He was young enough for that to be possible. You could never do that to someone, a child over the age of 8 or 9 or 10 or 12. You couldn't touch them because like we're not that much into that world. It's a long explanation, but I'm pretty sure like the logic there like tracks. Like, you're safe when you get to a certain age from these things. But I mean, that's pretty much all the information like I have, because I mean, it's 12:30 and we're trying to like keep on point. But again, like, dude, just don't live in fear. Like, whatever it is you think you're afraid of, don't be. Take your power back. And if you have sleep paralysis, again, the best thing to do is clean your house. I mean, like Jordan Peterson said, clean your room. That's the first thing you should do. Clean your room. Right?
Well, that and the first thing to do, I mean, if you did suffer from that, would be to logically look at it and say, okay, I need to get more sleep.
It's like $37 on Amazon. Find out if it's an electromagnetic frequency leak. Because if it is just
get
a
more
ceiling
rest.
fan, cut off the breaker and see if it helps.
Right. Yeah, and take the stress out of your life.
When the breaker's off, well, you've got an and here's the thing: in the long run, that can cause. We don't know. Again, people aren't studying this as much as they should be. They'll say like, "Oh, those 5G QAnon kooks," right? This is what they call people for daring to question whether or not 5G is bad for us, right? The same people are going to be, oh, these ceiling fans giving them nightmares, right? Because they live in like, am I wrong? Is that not exactly what happens?
No, you're not. And that's the thing too. Like, if you question anything,
it's not the same thing at all. You're just protecting yourself.
And if you question stuff, people want to look at you like, oh, you're, like you said, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're this or that. I mean, why is it bad to question something, and why is it bad to wonder why? And if things are happening to people, then there has to be an explanation. And to search for the explanation, doesn't make you a freak. It makes you actually somebody is trying to learn and moving forward. Because I mean, I've always grown.
You high IQ into this room.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always questioned everything. Why are you not questioning everything? Just because, science says this or this says this. Science changes daily. You should always be questioning everything.
Again, the same Rockefeller education system to make us good little factory workers, right? The reason we stand in lines, the reason we, as children, have to raise our hand to go to the bathroom.
Right. Indoctrinated
when your teacher can see it. They can open the door and see the bathroom, but you have to raise your hand and ask. You're not allowed to just get up and go.
Hey, right? No, I do have
that same education system has indoctrinated and trained the people that are in colleges to not ask these questions. Academia is never going to ask these questions. Remember, in Vietnam, they gave them a choice: you either join the military or you go to college. Either way, you're getting brainwashed.
Exactly. Now you speak about like being able to debunk something. So I just now thought of this, but when I was a kid, now I had like, and this went on for like over a year. I was seeing a shadow person, and it drove me, like, I was so scared, and it drove my parents crazy because they would, it was always like I'd go to lay down at night.
You don't want to go to sleep.
Well, there would be this shadow, and it would happen like 2 to 3 nights a week. And this shadow would walk into my closet and walk along inside my closet. And I mean, right there in front of me while I'm sitting there looking at it. And it was a person. No. Check this out. So
Monsters Inc. There's a whole hit movie based on this kind of shit.
Right. No, check this out. So it freaked me out so bad. And I would always go running in. My parents are like, oh, what the hell? Go back to bed, kid. Well, it turned out after years and years, finally, I like cried and cried. I was like 6, 7 years old. And I cried and cried and cried and cried. Finally, my mom went in there and was like putting me to bed one night. Like, okay, I'm going to see if she finally believed me. And there it was. I mean, she saw it too. And it turned out she got up and looked out the window, and it was my neighbor taking the trash out. And it was just the shadow of him walking out of the door cast right inside my closet through my bedroom window.
So we took the trash out every night. What were you living in?
No, it only happened like 2 nights a week, 3 nights. And
I was like, is it a Clopac?
Exactly, but it was him it was Mr. Mayo taking the trash out.
What happened to the naps? I want to know.
Yeah, it scared the hell out of me for like the longest time. And finally my mom's like, that's the neighbor taking the trash out. I'm like, well, I told you there was a shadow, though.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of people that call themselves ghost hunters, and they catch cars, like reflections, into buildings and call that a ghost. They're like, oh, it's an orb. I'm like, no. That's why people are like, oh, well, people do ghost hunting in the middle of the night because it's the witching hour, 3 a.m. I'm like, no, that's because there's no one fucking around. That's why.
Exactly.
There's no noise, there's no lights, there's no interference. You can catch good footage. That's why. It has nothing to do with that's when the ghosts come out. Ghosts come out all day. If you look at like historical accounts from everyone dating back to Socrates, who was the first ghost story, by the way, was Socrates. If you date back all these other like accounts, they happen at all times of day and night. It has nothing to do with it. Shadow people are seen at all times of day and night. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What happens is at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., there's no one around to interfere with there's no one to I'm talking with my hands and I probably shouldn't. There's no one around to interfere with your footage. You can get, voice recordings without there being any interference on that. You can get EMF. Everyone's got everything shut off, right? Except for the ceiling fans. So you can get good EMF readings. You can get like unfiltered, untampered with, footage where you don't have to worry about lights coming in because people are pulling in the driveways because it's 8 o'clock at night. That is the best time to do it because it's a leave out interference.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. Yeah, I wouldn't think the ghost would be on some kind of schedule. A squeaky mic. Put some WD-40 on that thing.
Yeah, I lost my WD-40 somewhere in my garage. It's out there somewhere.
Yeah, I used mine to kill a hornet's nest. So. With a lighter.
Really? Yeah. There you go. Yeah, there you go. You could just use clear spray. It's cheaper.
Yeah, well, I don't happen to have a lot of that laying around. So,
hornets they love Aquanet and a lighter.
So do you have any? You got anything else to say about the shadow people?
No, I'm ready to take questions. It's about that time. So,
yeah, I don't
just enough notes to get us through.
Exactly. That went perfect timing. I could, in case, I don't know if anybody's interested, but I mean, we could drop the link here if anybody's interested in coming in and asking any kind of question or anything like that about
that.
Sure
if you show your face or whenever, so make sure we're not getting porn bombed. Oh, as much as I would love that, the overlords here at YouTube.
You can porn bomb us after.
Don't care for it much, but yeah, if you guys want to pop in, you don't have to show your face even. You can just use your audio. Through StreamYard, and we will be getting an actual phone number you can boop, boop, bop, boop, call in the future. Just for now, this is how we're going to do it. Because there we go. Smoking Gun Cafe, which, by the way, TF, tell them why we named the channel Smoking Gun Cafe.
Why we named it that?
Yeah, tell them why.
Yeah,
because it's not just going to be allegedly. There's going to be a bunch of other stuff.
Right. Okay. I got you. I was sitting there thinking, well, I mean, Smoking Gun Cafe.
Ceiling fan is warping your mind.
Right. I'm going crazy here. No. The point with this is to actually bring in to have one channel that brings in different people, different shows, different subjects, different things like that, all questioning, all to try to find out truth about things and to look at things outside of the box and not just be part of the mainstream think tank that everybody gets sucked into. So yeah,
we want to be a bastion of truth. We want to be like one of those places people can go for alternate media.
Exactly. Something different. Something
not like Ben Shapiro though.
No, not like Ben Shapiro. Well, there's.
And we want to do it. We want to try and do it for where no one has to pay. Like, we don't want to be behind a paywall if we can help it, right, TF?
No, not at all. Not at all. But there's the link. I mean, for all we know, nobody's got any damn questions about shadow people or anything to say about it or anything like that. So we'll leave that link up here for a second and BS if nobody wants to hop on or anything like that. We'll wrap it up.
I'm sure you've got questions.
Who, me?
Yeah, I'm gonna run through the chat and see if we have any questions in the chat that have come up. Colby says electrical lines aren't real.
No,
it's all a scam. Ask Tesla. Universal energy should be a thing. He's been staring at your ceiling fan for an hour or so.
Joey, it is very possible that we could give you Stockholm syndrome. It is very, very much of a possibility.
Colby said, one time I fell asleep right after I took an eighth of mushrooms and slept for 30 minutes, but felt like 8 hours. I saw the earth and how everything was growing through our planet. It was cool. Oh, yeah, goodness.
Mushrooms will have to be a different show. We can there's always a lot of craziness that happens there.
I've never done them.
Oh, me neither.
Jay Ship says it was sad to see a shadow person win slobs last year.
That's actually a pretty funny comment.
And Colby said, bet you ain't a student of Bama. Stop it.
Oh, geez. Well, I'm thinking that nobody really has anything to add to the shadow person commentary here, Missy.
Well, I was trying to not be boring.
Trying to not. Yeah, got any more clips? Oh, I think we did. NASA. Did you see NASA's latest picture? I think I do have a pic of that I could show you.
And Joey Foster said this could be a dangerous channel. You're not going to give us Stockholm syndrome, are you? Libby says, bring in Edward. He'll protect you from porn and protect Missy.
Yeah, Edward protects all women.
Says, flat earther next.
We do need now. Here's the latest image from space from NASA issued out to us. So yeah. I do have that. Just downloaded that just a second ago. That was recently released. I think like 20 minutes ago. I
was looking for Kobe Bryant. I don't see him. He's got to be there somewhere in the background, right?
Exactly. Now we do need to find a flat earther. Now, for some reason,
you can find flat earthers anywhere. It's not like it's hard.
You can find them, but you can't get them to come on live. That's
no. You got to kick over a rock and do a ritual.
Right. So we have to find a flat earther to bring on here and talk about, because I want to hear because that's a conspiracy.
Just let me know ahead of time, because liquor stores here close at 7, and I need to make sure I have a big bottle of vodka to make me happy, Missy, when I have to deal with flat earth people. Because I think it's a conspiracy thirst trap.
They're so hard to talk to.
It's a conspiracy thirst trap.
Oh,
because whether Earth is flat or round, it's not going to help inflation. It's not going to protect us from the dark things that go bump in the night. It's not going to protect you from the dark bumps you can get in the night.
No. Or Steve.
Or Steve.
That's not going to help at all.
You just imagine, okay. In my mind, in my crazy mind, I'm just picturing Steve in the kitchen being with his ghost friends, being yeah, we're just gonna buy dude, man, I don't care if I'm here. Let's all just hang out, bro. They can't hear us, bro. They're not even on the same sound frequencies. And he's trying to make shots, and they drop some shit. And he's uh-oh, boss can hear me. Like, why not just have a college kid that bothers you and comes home on the weekends without announcing? Like, you don't need like a ghost, bro. Have children. They'll bother you enough.
Exactly. I don't. I've never been like really in like the whole ghost thing doesn't. It's never really scared me that much. If that makes sense. You shouldn't be
scared. You shouldn't. Again, the corporeal like actual ghosts that are like actual like they look like people. They're not dead people. They're alive people. For some reason, the trauma on both sides of the third and fourth dimension has allowed them, like you, to see them, but they're not dead. They're alive. Like there's all these like theories that have come out by peer-reviewed scientists. Like there's all these papers. This is going to be the next thing that's going to come out. I'm telling you right now. Mark my words. In the next like 10 years or so, this is going to be the accepted theory, is that time is not what we think it is. It's not a forward-moving linear concept. It is all happening at the same time. It's quantum physics. It's mathematically proven. This is going to be the next big like thing, is that all time is happening at the same time. So if all time is happening at the same time, when you see a ghost, you're not seeing a dead person. You're seeing someone who's alive. They just bridge the third and fourth dimension. We exist in the third. The fourth is time, right? You're just seeing something that are the trauma on my side, because usually people that see ghosts are in some sort of like disturbed state, right? They see full body apparitions. And people on the other side are like, I don't know, they just had their head cut off in a battle, or about to have their head cut off in a battle, right? Or they lost their baby, or God knows what, right? Or they're angry because they have to get married to the wrong man because they're, whatever, right? Those traumas somehow meet up and cause like the third and fourth dimension to bleed together for a second, because all time is happening at the same time. We just can't see everything that's happening at the same time. But there's situations where you can. For example, this story terrified me as a child. So guys, sorry I have to tell you this before you go to sleep, but there's situations where, like here in Charleston, where I live, Charleston, South Carolina, the MUSC is called the Medical University of South Carolina. Now they had a location that was open like during the Civil War. They turned that building, the hospital got its own like location, built itself up. The location that was the hospital turned itself into condos, apartment buildings. They got destroyed in Hurricane Hugo, so you can't go there now. But the building that was there used to be the hospital for MUSC, and also was now used for apartments and condos for like lowered rates for hospital employees and MUSC students that are going to the medical college for, to be a doctor. So they're like an intern or whatever, and like their second year or third year or whatever. And this one woman came home from a long 12-hour like shift at MUSC, came in to go to bed, walked in her room, and walked directly into a Civil War hospital scene.
Oh, wow. She
even like could smell the blood in the air. And it was a man having his leg amputated. And she didn't walk. They didn't walk into her time. She walked into their time.
Right, into theirs.
And there's countless stories just like that one.
Yeah, Charleston has to be one of those cities that probably has a lot of the ghost. A lot like Savannah, Georgia. The older cities. It probably has a lot of the ghost tours and ghost. All that kind of jazz going on.
Most of it's bullshit. Even like the carriage tours that they do that are like the tours of like the city, like they were wrong. They lie about everything. Like they call it the market that's always been like a market that sold food. They call it like the slave market. I'm like, they weren't docks?
Right.
You saying?
Right.
Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. These aren't the docks. Why would they we got to move them to this location where they sell food? And that doesn't make any fucking sense. But I mean, it is what it is.
Right. Anything that costs money, you're probably not seeing anything real. If somebody's charging you for it, it's not going to be real.
Joey Foster says we should have done this together from a haunted location. I told you we should do that. Actually, Joey, we discussed this earlier.
Yeah, Joey. Yeah, maybe it'll happen someday. We'll all get together and we'll do it from a haunted location. We can get up with Ben. Joey, we could get Ben to take us to one of those haunted places. There's a friend of ours on here. He does him and his friend Ben and Sam. They do
his friend allegedly.
Yeah. What do you call it?
Partner.
Where they where they go and look at, old
The
places,
to his She-Ra.
urban exploring,
Oh, okay, that's
and
completely
ghost
different than
hunting
what I was thinking.
and stuff like that.
Okay, like the
Right.
underground tunnels in Vegas. I had a friend of mine that was doing a documentary, and he was filming all these locations in underground Vegas. He actually did a documentary on the Vegas shootings, and then he was doing his second documentary on that, and he just stopped in the middle of all of it. Didn't really say why. Didn't really say why he quit doing it. He's just like, no, it's off the table now.
Huh. I wonder why.
He saw, and he told me later, he's like, I saw something. I can't tell you what it was. Never setting foot down there again.
Right.
I think it's over. So.
Yeah, I mean, there is a point to where, you go looking for something so long and then you actually finally find it maybe. And then like, oh, holy shit, maybe I shouldn't have been looking for this.
Yeah. Or you become like me where like I've seen so many. You'd be shocked how many cases I was like, debunk. People will get mad at me. Like, apparently, the value of your house can actually increase if it's haunted. Did you know that?
No, I wouldn't imagine.
You can sell your house for more money if you can prove there's a ghost there. Because people are interested in that. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, it adds to like the mystique of the house or whatever. It's like putting in a pool in the backyard. And, ghosts love that. So they're like, yeah, sure, anytime, brah. Like, hire me for free. I'm already free anyways. Yeah. So people would get really mad when I would debunk their hauntings.
Well, and most of the time, I would imagine most of the time it probably was debunked. Would be my guess. Because
I would say like 90% of the cases that I've been to could be debunked. Now, again, there are a lot of true stories out there. There are people that had problems, but most of it was like, oh, well, the air conditioning kicks on and that door slams.
Right. Yeah, I mean, most things can be explained in normal terms. I mean, there's going to be a reason why this is happening, and that's kind of the point of this channel too. Is not just to come on here and blow smoke up everybody's ass.
Just the facts, man.
We're just the facts. Yeah, we're not trying to blow smoke up everybody's ass and say, hey, everything's a damn ghost story.
If you blow smoke up my ass, you're gonna have to pay me for that. I will not do that one for free.
Right, there you go. So that's the thing. It's actually looking for the truth in things, finding stories, finding cool stories that are fun to talk about for a minute, and trying to rationalize what it is and where, what the actual logic of it is. Why is this happening? Which I think is fun. I think it's fun to do. I love conspiracy theories, but I also like looking at them logically and saying, well, wait a minute now. Let's look at why this really is.
Anybody that doesn't want to like talk about things that are debunking, or anybody that doesn't want to like, anybody that like puts out a book, right? And there's evidence that before they put out the book, before they publish the book, before they even turn the book in, that there's people that counter that argument or counter that statement, and they don't talk about that, then I got questions. Like, I don't trust that person now. And the one thing you'll always get from me is I've been wrong. I'll be wrong again. It happens. But when it comes to like this paranormal stuff, again, people are like, why did you quit being a paranormal investigator? I was like, because I got all the answers to all the questions I needed. There's nothing else to find. Right. I know what to look for. I know where to look for it. I know what to do. I know what to, I know what not to look for. I've learned everything I can about that field, and I'm not going to waste time like trying to be the badass that everybody thinks I'm not anyways. So whatever. Because there's always people that are going to believe everything that they hear to make themselves look better. And I can't do that. And I had a lot of headbutting with a lot of people that I worked with because I wanted to say the truth. I've been told before.
Let me ask you this. How many of the people that you worked with were not rational?
All of them.
Right. Like they were living in a...
Well, that's why at like 18 years old, I became like a team leader. Because I was like, this is wrong, that's wrong. I would like speak up and be like, no. I was debunking stuff. And the director of like our team, like, because there's a bunch of different teams underneath like that umbrella. The director of like the society that I work for in Florida, all nonprofit, by the way. We never charged anybody anything. We did it all like just as, to feed the research. So it's like working 2 jobs and doing this. And I got bumped up to like directing my own team because he understood that like I was about the facts. And if it was even a chance that it was going to be like debunked, or I could like have even like a question that it wasn't like valid, it got thrown out. And because again, like you can't, science proves that, look, just because you got a picture of an orb doesn't mean your house is haunted. It could mean there's a car driving by. There's a million reasons why. And I gotta take away all the reasons that it's not. And then I can say, this is a real situation.
Right. Instead of just jumping into it and saying, oh my God, the place is haunted. You're going to look at it and go, okay, that picture you showed me, that's probably a piece of dust floating in an overexposed picture.
Well, this carries over to politics as well. Anybody that if I bring up Trump and they're like anti-Trump, if you can't name one good thing, if you hate Trump, you were like completely against him, think he's got a big mouth, thinks he's the worst thing that ever happened to the Republican Party, blah, 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 whatever your stance is, right? He's a bigot, whatever. If you can't say one nice thing or one good thing, just one good thing Donald Trump did or said, just one. If you can't do that, you're in a cult. And the same thing's true for Biden.
Right. Yeah, right. It's vice versa for everybody.
Conservative. If you can't find just one good thing he said or did, then you're in a cult.
Yeah,
you have to
totally
be able to say, I can rationalize things, and this is rational. If you can't say one good thing, then you have no business speaking to anybody because you've lost your fucking mind. Because there's got to be at least one good thing one of these people. I mean, I don't know what it is about Joe Biden. I guess, he really appreciates little girls that smell like apple shampoo. He's never called Michelle Obama's big dick.
Colby brings up a good point that Trump does have a nice golf swing for his age. So,
did you see him get roasted on what are those guys that like go to and like roast people at the golf course? I forget what it's called.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. I wish I had that clip.
Yeah. They went after Bill Burr, and Bill Burr roasted him back. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was absolutely hilarious.
Golf, the only reason you should ever drink and drive.
Well, Missy, you want to wrap this up now? We're looking at 1 o'clock.
Nobody cares. Nobody wants to like be on our show. That's okay.
Yeah, nobody wanted to come in and talk about shadow people. I guess they they got all the info that they needed. Maybe our next topic will be more fun. And not exactly sure what that is, but I think we should come up with it and go on ahead and post it out there so people have some time to think about it and see. So
we should just do a whole comic book series about Steve breaking into people's homes and convincing them he's a ghost just so we can have ghost parties and like they're not aware of it.
Yeah, that's the Steve diaries. Steve the ghost.
They can't hear you brawl. Smash, 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 smash. Right?
Going in there, twisting the salt lids off your shakers and stuff.
Right.
Oh, geez.
I'm an interdimensional menace.
Yeah, conspiracy playtime. Thanks for coming in. I guess you're coming in at the end, man. You're coming in at the end.
Hey, if you look up top, like we've got a StreamYard link. We haven't had a single person have the balls to call in. I mean, maybe we shared them off. Not scared them off, shared them off.
Shared them off. I know normally people would be calling in right and left, but everybody's like, hell no, I ain't joining this loony bunch.
Yeah, Conspiracy Playtime's name is also Colby. So you got the battle of the Colbys.
Oh, we got 2 Colbys in here. So that's the Colby that you always confuse the other Colby for.
Yeah.
Well, hey, everybody.
Next time.
Yeah, he'll call in next time. This is gonna be a weekly thing, so we'll have other Colby. So we got my Colby's
next?
Colby. Yeah, JFK next. That might be interesting.
I hate to say this, but it's really easy. Poppy Bush did it.
Well, don't give anything away. This could be a whole
next
episode.
Topic.
Yep. Zip it, Missy. Zip it. Well, let's go on ahead and wrap this up then. Well, I just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in to the first episode here of Allegedly. Number one. So number 2 is guaranteed to be better. Second. I mean, we got nowhere to go.
Number 2 is a bathroom code. Second.
2nd. Nowhere to go but up. Nowhere to go but up. Make sure you do subscribe Frantic Missy on YouTube. I think everybody in here knows Traveling Fools. I'm on YouTube as well. Both of us do have Twitters as well. All the links are in the description below. So check us out. Connect. Any questions? DMs are open on Twitter. Any questions you got? Any ideas you want for another show? Any collaborations you want to work on? Anything like that? Feel free to DM either one of us, and we can go from there. Would love to work with you. Missy, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have topic ideas, that's great, because what happens is if you can give me a topic. I had the Ben Shapiro thing where I talk too fast. If you can give us a good topic, then I can find us a good guest for it. I have a lot of friends doing a lot of podcasts. I would love to see what we're going to do as far as the Super Bowl is concerned. Maybe we should just do a gematria one on that. I don't know. You guys let us know what you want.
Exactly. So yeah. Anybody, both of us, the descriptions are in the description below, the links to Twitter, the links to everything like that. So feel free to hit us up. Let us know any topics you want to hear about. Any advice you can give us, tell us, hey, you suck, quit now. Anything you want to do.
You can read those, because we're number one on the internet. I don't read the comments.
We'd love to hear from you. But I guess other than that, anything else, Missy? You got anything else for these wonderful people?
Stay sassy. You guys, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being here. Colby was here the whole time. Not you, Conspiracy Playtime Colby. Other Colby. Colby number 1. I guess you're Colby number 2 now. He says it was the wife. No, it was you. Next time.
Alrighty then. Well, yeah. So Joey Foster, Colby number 2.
They were here the whole time.
Conspiracy Playtime, Goose Sports, Mike Colby. Anybody else still fishing football, still hanging out in here? LW, thanks a lot for coming in.
And if there's a guest you want, let us know too, because I might be able to work on that.
Exactly. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, check out the links below, hook up, and thank you very much for being here. We'll see you soon. Have a great Saturday night.
Have a truthful evening.